Typically when I see a PGA Tour practice routine or a pro golfer practice routine, it's not necessarily aimed at you or me who has a 9 to 5 and is working 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day, and then has very limited time to go practice. James put together a nice hour-long practice session we're going to take a look at.
A question that I get asked a lot is, how do I get better? How do I take an hour and turn it into the most productive practice session possible? I've got my quad. You don't need a launch monitor, but I have it, so I'm gonna use this.
I want to point something out there. He says, I've got it, so I'm going to use it to the quad. Same thing for you. If you've got limited time, or I've just got limited space in here in the office and I try to make the most of it, make the most of the things that you have access to.
I can get the most efficient practice that I can get, and I like starting the range. I like loosening up the body. I like warming up. That way when I get to my chipping and putting, which I'm going to show you in a little bit, I'm fully warmed up.
Order of operations from like a optimal standpoint doesn't necessarily, there's no research to suggest that there's a right way or a wrong way, but we've got a professional golfer here who's going to spend a decent amount of time, most likely we'll see, out of this hour warming up physically. And for the most part, I mean, I know I fall into this trap too. Like my warm up is maybe a few of the overhead things and whatever, and then I move on. Spend time getting your body warm. And this is a message to myself as well.
I'm probably going to go around half an hour in the range, then 15 to 20 minutes on the putting green, and about 10 minutes of short game, roughly. But again, this hour is an hour.
I like that split. I think that makes some logical sense. I think you'll see in the 59-minute practice plan down below. It's very similar because based on strokes gained, it goes approach is the most important, then putting, then off the tee, and then chipping.
First things first, I'll hit 2 shots with every wedge through my zones. So I go 75, 85, and then gap wedge will be 105, 115, 120. So I'm gonna set those balls up just so I have it. There's the 2 for the 75, 85, 2 for the 3 zones with my wedge. Then I'm gonna go 9 iron, I'll hit 6, 7 iron, I'm gonna hit 8. And I do this, I know I'm wasting time, but I do this that way I'm more organized. Not in a rush, I'd rather get good, efficient practice in than just block work of randomness. So 7 iron, 5 iron, I'm gonna go back.
I do like that he goes block work of randomness. He's spot on though. You have to be organized. You have to have a plan going into it. If you go in with a plan, you have a better chance of getting it all done and each one of those reps having intent.
And then we're going to our hybrid, which will go 5. Mini driver will go 5. And then driver, we will hit 6. After that, I'm gonna see how much time is left, and then we can work back with these extra balls I have laying out here and work on any movements, some shot shaping, and things like that. So the hour starts now, and first thing I'm gonna start with is getting an alignment stick. It is incredibly important to be aiming at something and also practice the fundamentals, which is aim.
My dad always said can't have fun without the fundamentals. Dad, I don't know if that makes a ton of sense now in retrospect. I don't think you can have fundamentals without having fun.
So we're gonna aim this at that orange flag. Just feeling a little bit loose. I feel like I'm running around, but I had an hour to practice. It's plenty of time to do some meaningful work. So if you're at home or you're working and you only have an hour, it's plenty of time to get better at golf. So I got my 60 degree. Take a couple air swings here, just loosen up the body, but I'm gonna try to hit this 75 yards. So I'll go 275, which is half to half, 285, which is half to 3/4, then switch to clubs, work my way up the bag, and then I'm gonna work my way through the bag once I get up there and once I'm warmed up. So this is what it looks like. We're not gonna be dissecting every single shot I hit, but right now we're just working on a few movements, trying to feel the club. And like I said, this is about warming up. And once I get through these balls, we will move on and start working on some movements, maybe some drills, some window drills.
I think it's good that he's got a set number of balls that he has for his warm-up, because it can be easy to start your warm-up, realize something's off or feel like something's off, and then just chase a feeling for the rest of the practice session, as opposed to having a set number of either golf balls or time that you're spending on warming up, getting the body loose before you move into random work or drill work or whatever it may be.
I've been driving the ball nicely recently. All right, so for this last ball, I'm gonna go pretty hard at it. I want to give myself, when I'm warming up, I actually want to end with the fastest swing. That way I get my body almost if I go easier, it feels like nothing. So if I can get my body moving fast enough, I'm warm enough for that swing, which means I'm warm enough for any other swing. 38 minutes left. So that was about a 20-minute warm up.
So he spent 20 minutes warming up, which I'm totally cool with. I think that there's probably a way to warm your body up a little bit quicker through doing bands or exercises. Now, this is not an area where I'm super qualified because I just know how I get warm. I think there's a way to physically get warm probably a little bit faster than that so you can get into your practice session a little quicker, but getting warm is absolutely important, so don't skimp on that.
So I'm gonna do a 7-iron swing video, and I'll screen record this and overlay it, that way you guys can see what I'm looking at. But I'm gonna give myself about 10 minutes of mechanical work. You know, maybe if I knew that I need to do more mechanical work, maybe I would have spent a little less time warming up, cut it a little bit short, but this is my baseline for where I'm at right now and how I would spend an hour. So
that's a really important distinction. This is his baseline for where he's at now, so we've got to adapt this to where you're at now. Once again, you can use that 59-minute practice plan or this one as a baseline or as a good guide, but you've also got to be able to adapt and understand that if your chipping is the worst part of your game, it might not be worth spending the most amount of your time on that because it's only 15% of scoring.
We set this up here about 8 paces behind the ball, slightly behind the hands, and I videotape it in 120 at 2x, which means two times zoomed. And I'm just gonna hit my standard 7-iron shot here, not gonna try to do anything different, and then see where my swing is and see what I think I need to adjust. And again, this is gonna be very quick. I don't want this to take more than a minute, me analyzing my golf swing. I just wanna take a look at it, see what's going on, see if anything crazy is happening, and then get right back to work. If you're in a position where you're maybe a 10 or plus handicap, videotaping your swing is not gonna do anything, so don't even waste the step, just get to work, and I'll give you some drills to work on here.
That's a really interesting comment, so I wanna dive into it a little bit more, which is, if you don't have a clear understanding of what you're trying to do with your golf swing, there's no reason to get feedback on the movement. The only thing that you really should be working on is scoring. For example, for me, I have like 1 or 2 small checkpoints that I'm maybe looking at, and that's if my swing feels way off. Like I'm hitting shots that feel good and they're going somewhere else. That's when I know I need to look at something on video. And typically it has very little to do with the movement. It has something to do with posture, grip, alignment, or tempo. All things that I can find out on video. Unless you're trying to improve something from a physical perspective or from a swing perspective and you've clearly evaluated that and you're working on it long term, there's no real reason to use video other than if you want to post it on Instagram, which, you know, good for you.
So take a look at these lines. I love that position there. When that club's over the hands there, that's really good. Back to the top of the swing.
I know he gets a little bit into a more in-depth description right now. He was talking about, I wanted this to be a very quick process. And I think it's the same thing. If you're working on a swing change with a coach and you're out on your own, don't overanalyze every single swing. Really work on that movement. Go back and check every couple balls. If you're a PGA professional, please correct me if I'm wrong there. But from my understanding from working with coaches, this should be you're working on it for 5 or 10 balls and then you record. Then work on it for 5 or 10 balls and then record. Nice iron drill here. 3 draw, 3 fade, 3 straight. We're trying to hit different shot shapes. Obviously, this is right up my wheelhouse. I love this.
I'm going to hit 3 fades, 3 draws, and 3 straight shots. But the thing is that the ball can never cross the pin with the fade or the draw. So when I go fade, it needs to start left and work towards the target. It doesn't matter how far. I don't care if I hit it all the way over here to the left. As long as it's starting there and cutting, success. As you get better and better, you're gonna wanna start this ball closer and closer and move it slightly to that pin, and this is gonna give you some really good ball control. So wherever you are in your game, at whatever level, this is a great drill. It's gonna learn face control, it's gonna teach you swing control and body control. So for me, I'm aiming left and try to hit this fade. That's step 1. I got a 7-iron. So let's see if I can complete this drill. 9 balls in a row.
I love how he has very set parameters for what success is and what isn't success.
Started a little bit further right, but it's drawing, so another good one.
I do really like this drill. I know a lot of what I talk about is random targets as well, but in terms of learning your own swing, there's not a lot much that you can do better than hitting fades, draws, straight balls all in sequence and figuring out which one's easiest for you, which one's hardest for you. Because that does 2 things. 1, it's going to give you better face control and path control, and you're going to learn your swing better. But 2, when you get out on the golf course, when you see a shot that you're not as comfortable with, you're going to be either more likely to pull it off now because you've been practicing it and you know what it takes, or you're just going to lean into a shot that you're comfortable with. It's very unlikely that you are forced to hit like a stock 7-iron that draws a bunch or fades a bunch or does the opposite of whatever you're trying to naturally do.
I'm going to do 5 minutes of drivers, and then we're going to go over the putting green and start over there.
5 minutes of driver is great because at some point, like unless you're working, like I said, on a swing thing, driver is important. It's the 3rd most important category though out of 4. And so if you can just get it to a point where you know how to land it in play, you really need to be focusing on land that thing in play, and then approach play, you need to get it as close as possible to the hole, and putting, you need to get dialed from outside of 30 feet and inside of 8. So I'm excited to see what he does for putting, but I'm going to go and skip ahead to that. We'll maybe watch a driver.
5 balls. We got 5 minutes to do this.
5 balls in 5 minutes. Love that.
I don't want to sit here and just hit as many balls as possible. I'm going to go through my routine on every single one of these shots, and I'm going to pick a new fairway for every shot. So this first...
Man, I Clip that. James, you're the GOAT, man. New fairway for every single shot. You got me all kinds of hyped. That's incredible. That's awesome. Pick a different target. I mean, I was just getting in a semi-argument on TikTok with somebody about why you should practice putter and driver different, which is like, I don't want to dive into that, but you've got to pick different targets. Like, you can't get good at pulling a shot off the first time, which is the most important skill in golf, is hitting a shot the first time. You can't get good at that if you don't practice it. And practicing a couple drivers in a row, even with the same shot shape, but choosing different fairways, James, this is really, really good stuff.
First fairway, I'm gonna go from the tree line on the left to that red flag. It is a 15-yard wide fairway, and I'm gonna see if I can hit this one.
The average landing zone in America, by the way, is 60 yards. So adjust the width based on how low your handicap is.
That's all I want to do in the range. Swing felt really nice, and we've got 25 minutes. So we worked on the range for about 35 minutes.
35 minutes of range work, going through his routine the full time, picking different targets. I mean, it was really, really good. That was some great stuff. Because typically my critique of these professional golf videos is not only is it not relatable, it's not applicable. The skills that I need to work on are very different typically, but he's doing a really nice job of breaking this down and making it realistic for every single golfer so far, which is awesome. I'm excited to see putting.
I start with this Vizio putting map. I'm gonna check start line. I'm gonna find as straight of his putt as I can. Uphill, about 8 feet, drop the balls.
All right, this is great. Now, the only thing that I'll add here is if you're going to use a tool outside to get your stroke dialed in, make sure you're using it inside. For me, my warm-up inside, or the practice that I'm doing inside in this little office, is the same as when I go to a practice putting green, and it's the same as when I go play golf. That's going to help a ton in terms of making the most out of your time, because you're not going to be spending so much time on getting your stroke dialed if you haven't already been, or if you're using a different tool, then the process ends up being different.
Looks like it's starting on its line. Going dead center. Then we take this gate, put it through there, and then we'll take this chalk line or chalk pen and draw a dot in the middle. So now that we know that this is set up exactly for a right edge putt, we're golden.
So I know it feels like he's switching tools, but he's really using that first part as like a template, and then the second part is the tool. So I like I've got a putting thing. You can use a Pels putting tutor. There's all kinds of different tools that don't require necessarily this much setup, but obviously this is what works for him. I mean, he's one on the Corn Ferry Tour. So find what works for you, what works for the amount of time you have. And I would also advise finding something that you can move between the office, putting green, and use on the court, like right before you go play, so that you're not changing tools too often.
And the goal is to make 4. Doesn't need to be in a row, but we're just trying to see if our start line is good. We knew it was good with the mat down, but now we're trying to see if it's good without the mat. So we don't have any visual cheat sheets to line up to. Bang.
I do like making 4 just in general as opposed to 4 in a row, like he said, because if you're trying to make 4 in a row, it can take a while. You can make a putt without hitting the perfect line. You can miss a putt by hitting the perfect line. So this is more so just like a calibration to give yourself the best chance and then move into some random work.
We're gonna start at 10 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet, and then 40 feet if this putting is long enough. A make is a birdie, 1 under. In between the hole and the pin is a par. Anything short of the hole or long hitting the stick is a bogey. If you ever go over par, you gotta start over.
So good. I'll add that you can do this either with the hole or you can do it with the towel if you don't necessarily have like a hole available, or if you're just wanting to work more on speed as opposed to trying to make the putt. But this is awesome.
Ooh.
Okay, my only critique on this drill is I would like to see, even if you're hitting the same 10-footer, 20-footer, and 30-footer and 40-footer, I would like to see movement between those spots as opposed to staying at the same spot over and over again. Because right now, the only time in a tournament round where James would be hitting this putt that he's about to hit would be if he putted in the water, or he would be like in an outing putting for with a mulligan, having already seen the line. There's no realistic scenario where he's hitting this putt again in a competitive environment. And same thing for you on the weekend. There's no real world where hitting this putt a second time is helpful. So that's my only little bit of critique, but overall this drill is phenomenal. So now that we kind of got an idea of what he's doing, we'll see if he makes the second one. Yeah, so he kind of already learned it. It's like if you've solved this 9 times 72 once, it's way easier to solve it the second time. Same idea here. You're not really learning anything. You're just saying the answer to the problem that you've already solved. So let's go ahead and jump ahead to the end of this putting. I do like the majority speed drill here. Oh, let's see, you got another speed drill.
Goal is if you are short of this to start, your score is 0, and you got to see how many balls you can get within that gate and the hole without going past the hole and without leaving one of these balls short of your previous one. So, like I said, the goal is 8.
So we're trying to hit 8 balls within a couple feet, gradually going further and further. I also like the decade drill of putting within 4 tees. So you put a tee 1 foot apart, and then you put another one, and then another one. So you've got 4 tees 1 foot apart, and you just go basically back as far as you can, moving in 6-inch or foot increments. Similar idea where you're trying to continuously hit it further. You're just giving yourself a wider gate as you go.
Same thing downhill. Downhill is way harder.
Note to my editor, Isaac, in the future, just overlay the reel talking about that. It actually kind of popped, low-key.
When I only have an hour, I'm just gonna go 1 club with chipping. First things first, I'm gonna take 3 balls, drop them on the edge of the green, and I'm gonna try to hit these balls low. For me, hitting the low shot has really helped, so I'm gonna go low, try this little bump and run here, the 60.
Mess around with what your 1 club is. For me, it's my 60 that I've gotten really good with over the years. That's what I'm going to chip with pretty much all the time because it's much easier to get really, really good with 1 club than it is with 2.
Same deal. Working on contact, landing angle, landing area, sorry, on all 3.
The only thing I'll say is, like I said earlier, hitting the same shot twice doesn't really help a ton from a scoring perspective, but like he just pointed out, he's working on contact, he's working on landing area. In that case, we can kind of get away with hitting the same target because we're more focused on the movement, we're more focused on the input than we are the outcome.
Now, same thing. Try to fly into a pretty flat spot. So I'm gonna go right here. Now I'm gonna do the same exact shot, but try to hit it high. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open the face up, put it further up in my stance. Okay, I'm just getting a real good feel for the turf.
I like that he's using the limited time in this practice session for chipping to kind of calibrate. Now, I think there's ways that you can integrate the chipping into the putting by doing up and down drills and that thing, and you kind of still get the benefits of the chipping drills, but this is really, really good. Working on contact. I like that he's stating his intent early and often.
For me, I did a lot of swing work. My body was stiff today. Didn't feel great. Putting, I always think you should do 15 minutes minimum. Do a lot of distance control work. And then chipping, for me, since I've been so good at it recently, I don't feel like I don't feel I need that much work. So I'm gonna do a couple more shots. Can head in the bunker.
I'll add one more thing there, which is that chipping is only 15% of scoring per strokes gained. So unless your chipping is like absolutely abysmal, I would not spend a ton of time on it. If anything, you can kind of like chip on your carpet or chip in your backyard or whatever to just work on contact and land area and then go from there.
A couple short-sided high, probably 3 short-sided high, 3 longer.
So we got some randomness in there. We're trying to hit different shots. I'm going to jump ahead here.
Here I go. It's got to come out low.
Oh, working on, we've got a specific target for landing.
So that was about 1 foot long. So I'm expecting that ball to be 1 foot past the pin. I look up, it's pin high, so pretty close. Anything within 3 feet is really good. So that landed on the front edge of the thing and it's rolling just a touch short. And then what I'll do is I'll change the mat. I don't change the club, so I'm putting the mat here. Taking these balls, going back to that same exact spot, and now I've got to hit to the same pin, but I need to adjust my trajectory.
Absolutely love this. The only thing I'll add is if you're absolutely abysmal at chipping and you're working on it, we got to work on just making solid contact and be able to land it where we want to with normal trajectory as opposed to trying to get fancy. Not that this is getting like crazy fancy. That's my only like little nitpick, but once again, like he said, focus your time and your drills and everything on what you're actually needing.
That's what an hour of practice looks like. We went on the range, ran through the bag, did a little trajectory control in terms of shot shaping, came over to putting green, did line, did start line, did speed, and then finished with a little bit of a chipping technique, chipping drill. So appreciate you guys following. Like and subscribe if you guys haven't already. Really helps the channel.
Really good stuff. I think, once again, James is a very accomplished professional who is grinded very hard. So he's very familiar with what works and what doesn't when it comes to practice. I was not expecting this to be that good. The only thing that I said, maybe a little bit more randomness in there, especially when it comes to putting and when it comes to getting warm a little bit quicker. That's probably the only other thing that I'd add. But once again, his warm-up is going to be different than your warm-up. This is phenomenal. If you don't already follow James, I've been following him for years now. He's the man. James, if you see this, appreciate you, brother. This was really, really, really good. If you like this style of content, let me know. I'm trying some stuff out, having fun with it. And instead of watching whatever video pops up here, you should actually go practice.